Hi everyone. So in this video, I want to talk about APA references. So I've gotten some questions and I realized as I was going through and working on feedback for y'all that you might be a little bit befuddled because you might have been including a reference that you found with your article and thought, oh, I guess I just copy and paste this. An example would be if we look at something like mental health and mental illnesses are not interchangeable terms. A lot of you have just been copying pasting this, which is a completely logical, critical thinking thing to do. However, this is not actually a great APA reference. I'm not sure why it was included here. This is, if you ask for an APA 7 reference when you're using SIRS, this is what it will give you. However, it is not exactly the right citation because some information is missing. I realized as I looked at this, and I realized this because of my critical thinking skills, that y'all should work on adapting as well. These Nancy Drew skills we're about to go through. I was like, this doesn't look right. It keeps not looking right to me. So I did a little bit of investigation. And I said to myself, what is University Wire? Because the first thing I need to know whenever I'm doing an APA reference is what kind of source am I dealing with? The type of source, whether it's a journal article or a magazine or a newspaper article, is always going to dictate how my reference looks. And when I did some investigation, and this is just like I said, like me, Nancy Drew, Googling it, University Wire. I wanted to know if it was a magazine or a newspaper, and it turns out it's actually a wire service that collects articles from lots of different newspapers, specifically student newspapers. So this is not really a very specific source, and I shouldn't be listing it as my source because that would be like saying my source is database, my source is EBSCO, when we know that EBSCOhost uses lots of little databases like Academic Search Complete that pull from sources like the New York Times or the Journal of the Chronicle of Higher Education. So instead of including the University Wire service as the source, I am going to figure out the real source material. And again, I'm going to have to Nancy Drew that. I'm going to do that in this case by just searching online and seeing if I can find this article by this author. So I'm going to put the title and the author into the search bar. Okay. And it's not giving me enough. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add in her name. Talia Maroff. Yep. Okay. So you can see I looked this up before and I found it. And the actual name of the source is her school's student newspaper, the Pitt News. Aha. Now I know what kind of source I'm working with. So I've actually done this before, but I'm going to delete them so that I can show you how to do it. And if you stick around with me, I have a copy of that and I'll show you where it is. So you can just cut and paste your own source from it. So I'll show you that at the end, but you got to stick with me and go through the learning process. So here I'm going to put in the information. It is D. Maroff. And as I'm going through, I'm looking at all these little question marks and filling in all these bubbles to make sure that it is a good citation. I'm choosing to do this manually. Oh, and the first problem is I forgot to select the right thing. I'm on magazine. So I'm going to make sure that I have the right type of source highlighted. I do not want to save my citation. So here I am. This is the newspaper format. This is what a newspaper source should look like. And I'm going to look at all the little bubbles and I'm going to make sure I fill everything out. And I'm going to do it manually because I want to make sure that it's right. So this is by D. Maroff. It is not print. Print would mean that I'm holding the Pitt newspaper in my hot little hand. I read it online, so I'm going to choose online electronic. I think that this one is April 7th. Let's check and see if I'm right. April 7th, 2021. And then the article title, I'm going to copy and paste it in here. I'm going to cut off the opinion because we're just going to stick with this title. And that's a judgment call I'm making. That's the kind of judgment call you'll want to make too. Okay, and I'm going to check because it says article title should be in sentence case, and it is. Yep. If you want to know what sentence case is, it explains it even further here. The newspaper name, I'm going to mouse over the bubble, and it's going to tell me that I need to use caps. It's in the Pitt News. I don't see any page numbers listed, so I'm going to leave that alone. And then to get the URL, I'm just going to copy the link to the basic, like .com, .edu, whatever the actual like basic home URL is. That's what I'm going to copy in right here because that's what it says in gray down here. And I'm going to save my citation, and now that's my citation. Do you see how it's a little bit different than the citation that we were given? This is a more accurate citation. It's annoying that you were given an inaccurate one. That's why I'm giving you the right one, but this is the kind of work that you're sometimes going to have to do to run around and get the right information. So newspaper, the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to back it up because we have the cancel culture one, and that one is also from University Wire. So that one is not quite right either. What's the big deal about cancel culture? So I'm going to click on this. What's the big deal about cancel culture? And I happen to know it's by Jade Ellis. What is the big deal about? And you can see that I've already done this. And I found the article online from its actual source, which is the Scribe. So now I'm going to go back to the APA citation generator. I'm still dealing with a newspaper. If I'm not sure, I can check the about. I can also Google it. The newspaper that I'm dealing with here is going to be from the Scribe, and we know that this is written by Jade Ellis. We're going to spell that right. It's online. I'm going to check the date. Okay, April 12th, 2021. So April 12th, 2021. So 12, and then that's April 2021. And I'm just going to go ahead and close this one because I don't need it anymore. What's the big deal about cancel culture? I'm going to copy and paste that in. What's the big deal? Okay. The newspaper name is The Scribe. We'll check that. Yep. The Scribe. Okay. Page numbers. I don't see page numbers listed. We read it online. I don't see any of that information. So I'm actually just going to leave it off. When you don't have stuff like that, you just leave it off. And then the URL, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did before, where I'm just going to use the basic URL. And there it is in all of its glory. And I'm going to save that citation. And then the last one from SIRS, when we check it out, not from SIRS, the last one when we go back is the one about women in the workforce. And I'm going to click on that. And here it is, okay. And there's not even anything you can copy and paste here. There's no reference for you. So this one, you're going to have to go through and figure it out. And as I look at it, I see that it's in the Harvard Business Review. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know what the Harvard Business Review is. So, or I didn't. Now I do because I did this before. But Harvard Business Review. And I'm going to look at it. And I'm going to look in the Wikipedia, and it says right here that it's a general management magazine. So I'm going to format this as a magazine. So I'm going to go into my APA citation generator, and I'm going to switch over to magazine. And then I'm going to look at the authors. There's 3 of them. I'm going to list them in the order that they're listed here. I'm not going to put alphabetical order on it myself. It's going to go in the order that they're listed here. So the first one is D.L. Carlson. And over here, if I want to add another author, I just hit the plus button. So we got D.L. Carlson. We've got somebody Petz. D.L. Carlson. R.J. Petz. Petz. And last but not least, we have J. Don't know her middle name. Pepin. You can see I did this before. Okay. I found it online. The date that it was published. Okay, so I can either look here at the Harvard Business Review, or I can look at the information from the library database, which gives me a little different information. Yeah, okay, so when I look here, I can see that there's a little more information provided. So 4/20/2021, you can tell that somebody was looking for these articles in April. of last year. So it's the 20th of April, 2021. And then the article title, I'm going to copy it again because I'm lazy and I don't want to do it. Notice how there's a period here? We get rid of that. You might have noticed that where you're like, why is there like weird punctuation? Why is this all in caps? If that happens, get rid of it. We're not going to include the period here. We're going to switch this to sentence case because that tells us right there that we're supposed to. Notice that it didn't pop up and say like, oh, there might be an issue. Like this is the kind of thing that you need to double check yourself and make sure you're mousing over all those bubbles and you're reading all of the instructions as you do these manual entries to make sure they're as right as they possibly can be. Magazine title is the, I'm going to spell it right, Harvard Business Review. And I'm going to go ahead and add in digital articles because that's what's listed right here. It says digital articles. So I'm going to add that in. That's kind of a me call. It would probably be fine if I didn't. I don't see a volume or issue. If you want to know the volume or issue, it would be listed here in this detailed record over here. No volume, no issue, but it does say pages 1 through 6. So I'm going to add pages 1 through 6. And then I'm going to go back to the online version, if I can find it. Lots of clicking around. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to include the base URL. Okay. There we go. Save citation. Now I have all of my citations over here. So I am just going to hit copy and paste. And for some reason, it's not been doing things right. I've had a student who had trouble doing the select all. It's screwed with everything. So I'm just going to hit Control C. Just to and highlight everything. I'm going to highlight everything and then do Control C because I think that's going to be better than hitting select all because I don't want it to get all goofed up because as you can see, it's already done the hanging indent for me. And so I can just, you know, add in my Control E reference it. Come on, man. This is going to be on my references page. I'm going to change this to Times New Roman because y'all know me. It's my favorite. And then I'm going to do Control V. And the hanging indent has been preserved. The funny business going on with the different styles of type. So I'm going to highlight the whole thing, Times New Roman it, 12-point font it, and then I have created this document for you over here in our course underneath the articles. So you probably saw it already. But you can use this document here. I have them all listed right here under R2 references, and you can just pull it up and say, okay, I need this one. This is the article I chose. Obviously, you don't need any articles you didn't choose. And you can just do Control X and paste it into your own references because I have those available for you. But I did want to talk you through the process of why it's like this. So this is the correct, all three of these are the correct versions of the articles that were available. So you can just pick yours, paste it into your reference page. And then use CiteFast in the same way for the second source that you found on your own that you should be including.